again, that is what you put into your tank. Oil up 1.5% right now, up about 70 cents a barrel, but still well below that $50 a barrel mark. It's been a rough few weeks for the cost of crude, falling nearly 10% over the last 3 weeks. Joining us now is Schork Report founder Stephen Schork. Stephen, do you expect this weakness to continue?
Well, right now, Dagan, if we are going to see any sort of rebound in price, it has to happen now. From a technical standpoint, we're in a critical range, that is oil between the price of $45 and $47 a barrel. I do expect it to hold. Demand has never been stronger for crude oil in this country. It is now the middle of June. We are ramping up going into the peak summer driving demand season. So with crude oil at its highest with regard to demand, with gasoline demand about to surge, and with oil down at a level that is a critical range, and to throw into that, Wall Street went all in on higher oil prices after November's OPEC meeting. They were wrong. They've reset. They've been exercised out of the market. So there's a lot of bullets sitting on the side with Wall Street. So between oil 45, 47, I do expect this range to hold in the here and the now going into the summer. Beyond the summer, it's another question.
Hey, Steve, it's Michael Block. We could talk about supply demand. We saw that inventory data, which was a windshield smacking bugs last week, frankly. But what the other issue is, and the Saudis are not the not the lever they used to be, but there is some concern I'm getting from some clients that the tension between the Saudis and Qatar is undermining the viability of the OPEC agreement. If there is some peace reached there, so to speak, do you think that could be a catalyst to move out of this range to the upside?
Not really, Michael. I think the rift between Saudi and Qatar is actually a bearish event. Qatar accounts for less than 2% of OPEC's production. If Qatar were in the United States, it'd only be the 4th largest producer in the United States alone. So from a geopolitical standpoint, what we're seeing now with this rift is, once again, never far from the surface, is the 1,400-year-old chasm, or shall we say the 50-year-old chasm between the Sunni side of OPEC and the Shia side of OPEC. And of course, with Sunni Saudi taking it to the Iranian-backed Qatar Shia, this is indeed a rift that is going to pull into question the cohesion of OPEC. And if you are bullish oil with regard to OPEC, you have to be very concerned, because the cartel failed miserably to balance the market in the first 6 months of this year. And that's a problem, because I said earlier, demand for crude oil here in the United States has never been stronger. So what is going to happen in the months ahead, regardless of any sort of unity back within the cartel, when over the next couple of months, demand begins to fall back off here, especially in the United States, and the U.S. producer is still going to put on an extra 200,000 barrels a day of production by the end of this year. So at this point, we're still looking at a market that is well glutted. So you have to ask yourself, if OPEC could not balance the market when demand has never been stronger, how are they going to balance it when that demand begins to fall off towards the end of the summer, while U.S. shale producers are adding another 200,000 barrels to the market?
Stephen, Mitch Rochelle here. Is there a price range where they can turn the switch on and off? So we're right now at 46.5, but where's the price point where they stop production? Where's the price point when they start production?
Well, that curve is starting to fall further and further lower, to the chagrin of oil bulls. So what we can say with confidence, by looking at things like the rig counts, which have risen 50 of the last 54 weeks, we can look at the CFTC data, what the upstream guys are doing as far as hedging, and we can also infer from the pricing on the back end of the curve that oil in that $55, $56, $57 range is when you bring a lot of production back to the fore, and we've indeed seen this. So we know there's a lot of oil hedged forward in that $55, $57 range. And with the cost curve, what we're seeing is there are plays now that are coming online that are making money now at that sub-$50 level. So we keep on lowering the bar here. Where we are now, 45, 47, you would expect to see some of that production curtailed. And if we do see further weakness as we get through the peak summer demand season, clearly this would have an impact. But to answer your question, to be clear on this, we know $55, $56 oil is like ringing the dinner bell for producers, and anything between that and $45, you start to see diminishing returns on production. So it wouldn't be until you saw price well below $40 that you would see any sort of significant knock-on to a pullback in production.
Great analysis as always. Stephen, you covered the world. You covered it all for us in terms of oil. Stephen Schork, thank you so much.
It's great to be here. Thanks,
Coming
David.
up, turmoil at the top of Uber. A key executive reportedly planning to resign today amid questions about the company's workplace culture, what the trouble means for the ride-sharing giant. And Attorney General Jeff Sessions is heading to the hot seat tomorrow to testify about the Russian meddling probe. But will the public be invited to this round of testimony? Judge Andrew Napolitano weighs in. That's next.
I needed something more to help control my type 2 diabetes.
My A1C